Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mënulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Busel mu fine.
What?
Busel mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Accent Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Busel mu fine. Wave, your money is yours.
On Monday, the 8th of September, 2025, it's coffee time with Peter Gomez on West Coast Radio. At this point, I should have been talking to Modou Sabally, the National Youth President of the NPP, but as I was on my way to work this morning, he sent a message to say that he had a tough night, his words, not mine, and therefore won't be able to make it to the program. So we wish Modou Sabally a speedy recovery. In the meantime, the second guest, who should have been on from 10 o'clock, arrived even before we started the program. So he's here. So let's meet him. He's a man who took the back way. But after he discovered that things were not what he thought they were going to be, he did the right thing by returning to his country. So he is what we call in this country a backway returnee. Let's meet the guy. He will introduce himself, and he starts with a smile.
All right, thank you very much, Uncle Peter, for inviting me to this wonderful program. Anyway, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Modou Cisse. I am a native of Jokadu district, North Bank region of the Gambia. I am a poet, popularly known as Poet Mr. Pent. I am also a teacher by profession and also a teacher migrant returnee. So thank you for inviting me, and then it's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. It's very easy for people in the young people in the North Bank region to take the back way. Why? Before we go into other details.
Well, basically, everyone have a personal reason, and I think it depends on one's personal reason. Some of them have different challenges that they are facing, and therefore will decide to go. And then looking at the coastal area of Bar also, it's also a contributing factor to it. But I guess everybody have a different
You mean
story.
you all have access to boats?
Well, not actually, but it's also, at some point we've seen boat that departed from there. Mm-hmm. So probably some who have been around that area might have been in one way or the other get connection or influence that will lead them to take the back way. But the back way, everybody have a different reason for going anyway.
All right, you have a very interesting story to share.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk about your academic background.
Anyway, I started my schooling at my home village, which is Chisemajaw Low Basic School. From there, I proceeded to Bara SAO Upper Basic School, and then finally graduated at SAO Senior Secondary School. Upon graduation, I went straight to the Gambia College, where I studied Advanced Diploma in Education, and then upon completion, I was posted as a qualified teacher. And then currently this year, I got admission to study Bachelor Degree in Political Science at the University of the Gambia. And then I will be starting my classes today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
so that's a little about my academic background.
Thank you.
Aside from in the area of the poetry, I'm also a poet and a youth advocate. And I think we'll talk more as the program goes on.
Let's talk about, your poetic engagements before you decided to take the back way.
All right.
Or go the back way.
Exactly. Like, as an art student, when I was going to school, there was a time one of our teachers analyzed a poem of William Shakespeare titled, Shall I Compare You to Summer's Day? So after analyzing the poem, I was really inspired. And then from that day, I began to at least try to write poems. And then would normally give it to our then literature teacher, Mr. So at SL High, and then he will educate for me. That is how I started writing poems and then expressing my personal emotions and then expressing what I've seen in society, probably in one way or the other. And then as time goes on in 2018, I was introduced to migration advocacy when Youth Against Irregular Migration came to our school, and then they were back with returnees who formed the organization while in Libyan prison, and then came back to embark on a nationwide campaign. They told us about their stories, and I was inspired now. It gave me more motivation to write poems, and then from there I began writing poems, more specifically on migration. I went to the extent of, recording poems. I, shoot video poems. And then in 2024, I launched my poetry album titled Don't Give Up. So this is a little about my poetry career.
So you wrote poems against irregular migration,
exactly.
the back way, as we say in this country, yet you ended up going yourself. Isn't that an irony?
Yes, it's an irony, but like I said, there are many challenges that led me to go to the back way.
Okay.
And I think I am not also immune to some of those post factors that led many young people to go on this particular journey. I have been a strong advocate against it before, during, and even after returning back to my country. But I can even remember in 2019 when there was a boat incident, I wrote a very popular poem titled The Boat Incident. In that poem, I remember some of the verses where I say, back way, du diine bul ko jaamu, du aada bul ko toppa, du cosaan bul ko ndamoo na sey sa xel ak xelaat ngir nga mën a lekka suur naan mandi nelaw bu doy te dal. Géej nag du banxa géej nag amut banxaas te woon na kat ni rek la mën a doon. So basically, I have been advocating using my poetry anyway.
So you wrote poems both in English and in some of the local languages?
Yeah, in some of the local languages actually.
Okay. Mainly Wolof?
Yes, mainly Wolof, and sometimes I add Fula and then some Mandinka verses there.
Very good, very good. And did you write, you wrote them in Wolof or you had them translated into Wolof?
No, I can speak Wolof very well. And
I know
Fula.
you can speak, but then
yes, I wrote it by myself in Wolof, and then I also wrote some in Mandinka.
Okay.
So along with English language.
Right. Very good. Some of your poems were about your emotions. Emotions about what?
Well, just about the challenges.
Love or what?
Frustration
with society, what?
Basically, it's about the challenges that I observe happening in society, more specifically to some of us who grew in the provinces and have little opportunities compared to those in the urban areas. So sometimes also some of my personal emotions are personal challenges, like, sometimes when I face challenges while I'm going to school, I always try to write this down and also observe many things happening in society, and then I will try to write it down. So basically it was each poem that I wrote was inspired by circumstances or sometimes experiences or sometimes what I've observed in society. And
what were some of those challenges, especially, as you went to school to teach?
Well, this was not like during my teaching career, anyway, during when I started teaching. But then prior to that, challenges, more especially like opportunities that some of us lack to further our education. And then some of these challenges also include how society sometimes judge people all over, depending on their circumstance situations. And these are some of the things that I capture in my poem. So those are some of the things that I capture in my poems anyway. So those are the things that inspired me anyway.
So what was the turning point? What made you decide to leave the Gambia?
At first, for the first time, like I am talking about this irregular migration, and for the first time I am breaking a norm and a promise that I've made not to speak about it for some time. But basically, I think I am doing it through my advocacy with Youth Against Irregular Migration, an organization that I am part of. So basically, I had this idea of going to back with, long time ago that was in 2013, when I just left our village and come to at least a semi-urban center in SL and then going to school. And then Bagway was very popular by then through the Libya. So I heard of successful stories, and then I heard of, also very emotional stories about fatal ones anyway. So then I had the idea of why not I go to Bagway, because these challenges were many anyway. I feel that like I needed to change a lot in the society where I come from. So I had this idea of going to Bagway. But then, unfortunately, I decided to say, okay, let me join the boat and then go. But I was very young, and I know my family will support me, as I was a very young person at the in my grade 8. So I decided to join some of the fishermen who are locally going to the fishing. When I joined them, my idea was that I need to at least gather money and also learn how to drive a boat and also learn how to swim. So that was the reason why I joined them. But then as moving on, I met some very good teachers. Mr. Sesuma of Bara Esau, the French teacher, Mr. Alaji Fai, and then Mr. Mustafa Sise, who was our SS teacher. These people always get closer to me, and then they always motivate me, and then they encourage us. I listen to advice of our teachers and decide to let that dream go away. Until I'm completing my college and then started working, I still had one dream, which is to go to University of the Gambia, acquire very good knowledge, and then be in positions where I can influence policies and programs that can directly help to improve the lives and livelihood of people, more especially those from the provinces where I grew up from. So basically, while doing that, while having the dream to go, I faced challenges of, being funding my education sector. And then with all what I have been doing also, in the advocacy that I have been doing also, there were so many challenges. And then at some point, I couldn't resist those challenges. So I just have to sit one day and embark on this journey without even planning it.
What were some of those challenges?
The challenges was inability to fund my education. Despite working, it was very difficult for me.
You could have applied for scholarships somewhere.
Even prior to applying,
did you ever apply for a scholarship?
Basically, I did not apply for any scholarship in the Gambia by then. But then during that time, after my college, I had the opportunity to apply for international scholarship. In fact, fully funded scholarship in 3 other countries outside the Gambia. And then I went through all their interview and all their process. And then I was lucky to be selected. 2 of them did not have embassies in the Gambia. And then the other one, I went ahead to go and then conduct the interview with them, and I was rejected. All this happened in a very short period. Then I had this thing in mind that basically I think I have to at least embark on this journey, because all these things that I have been all my attempts to further my education failed. Knowing the challenges I faced during my college time, I could not get any support, and it was very difficult for me to complete my college. So I see the university, as a higher institute where I need to pay more, and knowing that when I look at my background, when I look at myself, I know that actually I cannot afford to pay this, and then I've struggled a lot to.
Not even if you worked and
yes,
banked all your money,
exactly.
you still would be
I still
unable.
will not be able to do it. So basically, these were some of the factors, academic factors that at least pushed me in this journey. Others were personal anyway, which I may not want to delve into. But then they were the challenges that were basically disturbing me. But basically, like I said, it is all about the academic challenges, these that I mentioned, because I've never thought of going. I've been advocate against it. But then when I now wanted to go to university, when I now wanted to acquire higher education, when I now wanted to develop myself, I see no opportunity and I become hopeless. And I was not immune to some of those push factors that were pushing young people to go on this journey.
So what were your expectations before you embarked on the back way as you left? And how did reality compare? My
expectation was not something where I expected. The list that I expected was arriving. Being successful in the journey was the list that I expected. Why? Because I have been engaged with advocacy with youth against irregular migration. They tell me a lot of stories. And I've also been somebody who have been very curious, reading about what is happening in the migration, sub-Saharan African migration situation. And also I read a book written around 2011, 2009, Backway Journey, by Kalilu Jammeh, titled The Journey of Mystery. From the Gambia, to these Maghreb countries and then come back home. So in this journey, I read the book 3 times completely. I know everything that was happening, and most of the time it's dangerous. So I expected that I will not be able to make it.
You expected that I would not be able to make it? You expected to die
exactly.
Even.
And that was, in fact, one of the things that I put in my mind. But then, with all that expectation, I believe that I was in a mission, a national mission, because my dream was not only to uplift my family, but then to also acquire the better knowledge and education so that I will come back and serve my beloved country.
You wouldn't be able to achieve that if you died on the way.
Well, like I said, because of the dangers that are there, I expected that. But then that doesn't mean that I didn't have the hope that I will reach. Because some of the people that have passed through there highlight a lot of dangers, and then I am not immune to those dangers as well.
In other words, fortune favors the brave.
Exactly.
All right. So take us through the journey from point of departure to arrival, all the experience.
Anyway, I would just like to go back a little. Like I said, part of the things that I've been doing before going was that, like, during 2019, when my first year at the Gambia College, I also mobilized during the coronavirus. One of the things that I do, I love to bring children together to at least develop their skills and then introduce them to the advocacy through poetry. During the coronavirus, with one colleague, we decided to gather students who were not going to school at the time and then offer them study classes for free in our own room. We painted one side of the room black like a blackboard, and then the children from the communities will come and then we'll offer them classes throughout the COVID-19 period. We had about 150 students from the communities that were very eager. We helped them to develop their skills, and then we later went ahead to form an association with the Youth Talent Association, where we develop their skills. So our dream was to make sure that like we help these young people, because we interacted with them. We know some of these challenges. So we always think of, I personally always think of how can I change these situations, because I interact with them at the grassroots level and I know the situation that they are facing. So basically there also the support was not there, and I still wanted to develop that those young people. And then at some point it becomes one of the challenges I faced there was that lack of empowerment, and that was one of the things that I also put in mind when going that, well, I think I have a national mission that is making sure that I don't only improve my life and that of my family, but that of those people as well.
Do you know how some of those children reacted when they heard that you had gone the back way?
Well, I know it was a very surprise to them. And even one of my mentors, Mustafa Sal of Youth Against Irregular Migration, used to tell me, boy, how much you were a great asset to the young people. They were looking up to you. So I know they were very surprised anyway, and everybody was surprised.
Only surprised? Not disappointed?
Perhaps I cannot say what they might feel, but I think they might have been in one way or the other been surprised, but not disappointed, because like I said, nobody's immune to some of these post factors that led young people to go on the journey.
Okay, so that's about your advocacy work.
Exactly.
What else would you like to touch on before you answer the question about?
Well, yes. First for like us, I would like also to talk about some of the effort that I've been doing. When I began teaching, before even completing my college, I was a young man very eager to serve my beloved country, full energetic, and then I live by the slogan of the Gambia College, enter to learn, ready to serve. And through that, when after the coronavirus, I came back here, I volunteered in some school to teach. One of the schools that I volunteered to teach was that of Abuko. There was the principal, Auntie. I went to Auntie and said, I'm a Gambia College student.
Auntie has a name.
Exactly.
But maybe everybody just called her Auntie.
Auntie,
to the point where nobody cared to know what the full name was.
So I decided I was very eager to teach, because I was inspired by the teachers that I passed through, their contribution to the success of my academic journey in my life. One that started from my primary school, Mr. Jata of Sitanunko. So I went to volunteer to these schools. When I went to Abuko, I volunteered there for 3 good months. Sometime I would just go to college.
Volunteering means teaching without being paid?
Without being paid. And then
did you have an allowance for your transport?
No, I did not have anything, because that was not catered for. And I came with the intention of volunteering and not expecting anything, because I wanted to get the experience before even qualifying. So I will go to the college, take a leave, and then come to the school and then teach, and then from there I'll also go back to the college. So like I was taking leave, going and coming, because I was not working. So it's something that I have also been doing. And then when I also started teaching, I established associations where I also mentor the young people on poetry. And there are a lot of them who are now doing a lot in the poetry industry. They were mentored by me. Most of them named themselves after Mr. Penn, Poet Gino, Mr. Penn, and or whatever could be. But they will add the pen there to at least pay gratitude and then reconnect with what I have done for them.
So you are the Mr. Penn?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So basically, I have been doing that work. And then I established this association in school where I help to mentor young people and then introduce them to advocacy efforts against irregular migration, improving their writing skills, and then using poetry itself to express their emotions and then discourage the ill things that probably they might feel are not necessary to happen in society, like advocate against drug abuse and other related matters. So basically, from there, I normally do organize program for them. In that program is to expose their talents and make sure that they have the public confidence. They're able to have the ground where they expose their talent as an extracurricular activities. And I initiated African Liberation Day, commemoration of African Liberation Day. Every particular year, for the 3 good years, I used to dedicate my May salary to celebrate African Liberation Day with my kids for 3 good years, 2021, 2022, and 2023. All that was geared towards empowering the young people on that particular sector because I believe in empowering them from the grassroots. So basically, this is something that I've also been doing, and I have done a lot on that particular area and inspired a lot of young people there.
Fantastic. We're talking to Modou Cissé, a backway returnee. He's got a very interesting story to share, and let's now start that story.
Thank you,
from the
Uncle.
point of departure, your expectations and how they compared with reality.
Well, it all started when all these opportunities that I wanted to grab failed, and they all fall within a very short period. And then I sit one day and then think of what can I do. I have been serving my country for a while. I wanted this empowerment that I've been rendering to young people, but this opportunity of going to university education seems almost impossible due to financial circumstances that surrounded me. And then I think of many things to do. All those things were not well with me, or doesn't go well with me. So one day I just feel desperate and then frustrated and think that, okay, I think despite the challenges that people feel in the back way, I think that dream which I have, that plan which I have long time ago, I think let me just try the chance in the back way and see where I'll be able to reach. But then not only been crossing the blue waters to Lampedusa, but I also had this mind that probably maybe one of the embassies of that country which I applied for was in Egypt, the other one was in Morocco. So I also had this in mind, probably maybe I can go through land to reach these countries and also access the embassy. I uploaded all my documents in a Google Drive, and I have this in mind that maybe I can also try the chance. If it doesn't work, then I'll just go straight to cross the Mediterranean Sea to Europe. So this was something that was in my mind, and then it influenced my decision. So just one day I sit, and then before going, like I said, I just sit one day and feel desperate. The little material that I have with me, including my laptop, I just went and then sell everything, all my article. But before going, there was a night that I spent the whole night writing a note that I want to leave behind me, so that when I am no more, one might come across with it and know exactly what were the reasons why I leave and where I went to, because I do not inform anybody about my going. So I spent the whole night, I wrote that note, and then it was a very lengthy one. I put it somewhere I knew that one day or the other somebody must come across it, whether I make it alive or not. But when I make it alive also, I'm just going to dive into where is it, and they will know exactly this was what I have been up to. So when I did that, then I decided to at least gather one or two things that I needed, including some medication, because I told you I know a lot about the journey. I bought some medication which I believe would help me in one way or the other, and then I put them in my bag, and then I buy a ticket to Mali. Then from there, I bought a ticket for Mali, and it was on a Friday. I left my home, but within those days that I've been planning to go to interact with anybody, because I even needed somebody to advise me, to be by my side, but I don't know who to reach out to. So
not even your mom.
Well, I do not want it to. I talk to them anyway. Their advice will always to focus on my work and then be able to get the higher education and then be patient and so on. But then my dream was bigger, because I also wanted to change the situation of not only my family but the people that I've interacted with and know they come from very similar backgrounds. So my dream was bigger. I wanted to make them proud, in fact, to get that education at a very short period, within a stipulated period where I'll be able to at least serve them. So basically this was something that I had in mind. I discussed with some people, but then I think at that very moment I needed more influence to be able to at least change my decision at that very time.
Okay, so you shut everybody out. You weren't talking to anybody.
Well, I do not talk to anybody about...
You bought your medication.
Exactly.
Let's continue with
So from there we move on. I bought medication and prepare some food, and then we bought a bus, and then we went straight to Basse, the border between Basse and then, going to Senegal. There, when we arrived there around 1 o'clock, and then we were on our bus, about, the bus carried more than 75 people. But when we arrived there, passing through the normal immigration checkpoints, around 1, we were there until around 6. And then 8 buses found us there all loaded with migrants heading to the same journey.
8 buses.
8 buses, you of them carry more than 75 people.
Gambians?
So, Gambians, exactly. Most of them were Gambians.
Most of them were
Gambians on this particular day.
There might have been other nationalities, but
yes, but majority of them were Gambians.
8 buses.
8 buses on that particular day that we were departing.
With at least 70 each.
Each of them.
That's more than 500 and what?
Exactly. So we move on. From there, it took us 3 days to reach Mali. So during that period, between Gambia here to Mali, it took us 3 days to reach Mali. There are the challenges that we face were only checkpoints. They would stop us all the time and then ask for money before we go. Despite the fact that personally I had my ECOWAS ID and passport with me, but then they would stop us and tell us to pay about 5,000 CFA, which is about 500 Gambian dollars, or 10,000 CFA, depending on who you are. And then these were the challenges that we face. We faced more than 7 checkpoints between Vélingara here and Kidira, the last village or town I can say in the Senegal. We faced 5 checkpoints. Each of these we paid a lot, which is 500, 300 Gambian dollars. It's going towards 1,000 Gambian dollars when you convert it at the time. So basically, those were the challenges that we faced. So we managed to reach Bamako. When we arrived in Bamako, I didn't know anybody there because I did not have any plan. I didn't have any connection. So I moved next. I see one of my fellow Gambians say, "Boy, Nakala, where are you going?" He told me, "Well, I'm also going to Europe." I say, "Okay, then I guess we can connect. Do you know anybody?" He said, "Anyway, I called somebody. He said he's going to pick me." And I tell him now, why don't we go together? He told me, yes, we are all one. And we chanted a little and everybody expressed his frustration and situation. We could feel that bond that brings us together at that very moment.
Frustration with the system back home?
Not like with the system back home. It depends on one situation, like I said. Not everybody is frustrated with the system back home because the system also is favorable and is... you will not know how you enjoy how great was your home until you leave.
You are moving ahead now.
Yes.
You're now talking after experiencing what you experienced.
Exactly.
But at that point in time, your frustration, was it with the system or
not personally, because people's challenges are not always the system.
All right, so let's move on.
So we move on. Then from there, we moved to a place called Mopti, in one of the places in Mali. Then from Mopti, we were taken to a place near the River Nile. This river Nile, which I once learned about, which I once thought about. And then we arrived there, we waited for some time, and then a boat came, and then we were 200 people, we boarded that, we entered into that boat and headed to Timbuktu in Mali, So it took us 2 to 3 days in the River Nile. We navigate River Nile and then reach to Timbuktu. So in the river, in that particular time, we had a very serious experience there, which was the first time. We were ambushed by, I can say, we classify them as rebels. Some of us say they are just armed men. But they stopped us at some point in the river and tell everybody to get down in a kind of a Swami island inside the river there. And then when we get down, they started asking for ransom of, let's say, 10,000 CFA, which is about 100 Gambian dollars. I did not have anything with me. Then we get down, about 200 of us, all the Gambians and then other nationalities were, all those who paid were asked to go back to the boat. They will carry you and then you go back to the main boat. And those who were unable to pay, what happened is that as time goes on, they started pleading, then going from 10,000, going down until there were like 10 of us left. Out of that 10, they threatened us again and again. And then about 5 of them gave out their money. And the rest, they said we were the stubborn ones. Not that we were stubborn, but personally, I did not have that anyway.
So you were one of the remaining 5?
I was one of the remaining 5. So they tell the other boat...
Who didn't give anything?
Yes. So they tell the other boat to go. And then as that boat, the boat keep on going, they threaten to at least shoot at us. So they give us a distance and then with his weapon and then change, with the bullets. And then he kind of, cocked the weapon just to threaten us. And then at that very point, I personally, said that, okay, this is the end of my dream anyway. Because we expected no mercy from them. So after threatening us for a while, I think we just had the other one was a little bit sympathetic after they have got a lot from us. Then we had him calling the name of that particular man, a name very familiar with Gambia and Senegal. And when he just called the name, all of us shouted his name. So it becomes it gave him some sympathy. And from there, I keep on shouting his name, and then he calmed down.
What's the name?
Anyway, the name was Adama.
Adama.
Yeah, I don't know the surname, but we just had the other one called Adama, and then he responded, and then we started shouting his name, asking for forgiveness anyway.
Gambian?
No, these are
Senegalese?
These like I told you, they are armed that we believe are Malian.
But from the name, you can
That
try to
doesn't
guess the
matter. We don't know
nationality.
whether it's just a name,
A pseudonym.
we don't just know whether it's a name of any of these nationalities, but we cannot judge that at that very moment.
Okay.
All we knew, they were either rebels or they were armed men anyway that ambushed us there. So they tortured us a little bit, telling us to uproot the grass and then to walk to the boat anyway. So we were going like the water, they kick us and then beat us a little bit. And from there, they decided to forgive us and then take us back to the main boat. They put us in their boat and then run and then meet the other boat. And then we continue to Timbuktu. So upon arrival at Timbuktu, we were to cross the Sahara Desert. When we arrived at Timbuktu, we were smuggled to the town and then to one of the edges of the Sahara Desert. There, we stayed there for 1 or 2 days. And then from there, we decided to be moved to the Sahara Desert. At one point, we were 46 people put behind a pickup. In that pickup, then it took us to one distance in the Sahara. There, we spent our night there in the Sahara. They warn us and then they tell us all their rules and regulations. And they told us like it's a risk close in the Sahara and they are not the only people in the Sahara, those who were smuggling us. And that we have to be very mindful and then obedience. And we don't have to walk all over because there are some landmines that are around according to them. Okay. The one who was speaking to us was like somebody who could speak a little bit English and then fuller. We believe he might have been a young migrant who had been adopted by them anyway.